are remembrance ceremonies planned nationwide and right here in our area.
Yeah, University of Houston is holding a UH Remembers 9/11 event that's happening right now at 9. This is a live look from that ceremony. We're going to listen in.
If everybody could have a seat, and thank you for being here this morning. Right now, we're just waiting. We're going to ring the bells at 9/11. It's going to be 11 bells that's going to ring. But for right now, we will have the laying of the wreath. And while we wait for the bells to ring, my name is Lakeisha Villegas. I am the Assistant Director in the Veteran Services Office, and I welcome you all here this morning at our 9/11 Memorial event. We know that this is and was a tough time for our country, but we thank you all here for being here at this moment to share the memories and such that you have of anyone you may have lost or someone you may have known. And while we wait until the ringing of the bells, we can go ahead and have a few opening remarks from Dr. Dan Maxwell.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being with us today on this solemn day as we remember September 11th, 22 years ago. Many of you in this space may remember where you were when you began to hear the news. And in many ways just couldn't digest what we were hearing, what was happening in our country. As I reflected on some words for this morning, I began to think about the reality that on September 10th, we had folks who were planning to fly the next day. We had first responders getting ready for their third shift or preparing for their shift the next morning. We had folks who were planning on going to work, not anticipating what would be happening to them. It just reminds me how precious life is, that in the moment, we have to remind each other to take care of one another, to say that I love you, to say that I care for you, and that we can't wait to see you again. So on this day, I want to remember over the 3,000 lives that were lost on that day itself, but the disruption that went through many, many families who dealt with grief and loss and trauma, and in many ways still dealing with that. We're also in a place and time where there are people among us who weren't even alive when this took place, and helping them to understand what happened. I'm not sure we can always explain the why, but understanding what happened and its impact on us and our lives, but most importantly as a community, that we always have to remember. Remember the lives lost, remember how our community came together, and remember how we continue to push forward in spite of it all, to find spaces to make our communities welcoming and forgiving and full of grace and peace. Thank you again for being here today.
We will now take this opportunity to have a moment of silence until 9/11. You may hear the bells ringing for 11 times. We still have maybe a few minutes, but just want to sit here and reflect back on the moment, if you will. And again, at 9/11, the 11 bells will ring. We will now have a few words from Army ROTC Commander Kaminsky and Air Force Commander Curiel. Did I get it right? Perfect.
On behalf of the future military leaders in training in the Army's and the Air Force's ROTC program here at the University of Houston, we lay this rose in honor of the first responders and the men and women in uniform who serve and protect our great nation.
We will now have words from Co-Commander George Barahona.
On behalf of the University of Houston Color Guard team, I'll lay a rose in honor and remembrance of those lost during 9/11.
We will now have words from University of Houston's SGA President, Benjamin Rissick.
On behalf of the 47,000 current students in attendance at the University of Houston, I, as a Student Government Association President, up here to speak to honor those who died on September 11th and to recognize the 1,100,000 students who commit suicide every year, and invite all of you to walk by the MD Anderson Library later today to check out our exhibit, 1,100 Shirts, to work at our mission to end the stigma against mental health. Thank you.
We will now have words from UH Alumni Association Foundation Board Member Shazi Khan.
Hi. On behalf of the 316,000 alumni of the University of Houston and the Alumni Association Board, I lay this flower in honor and remembrance of 9/11.
We will now have words from the University of Houston Faculty Senate President, Susie Brunson.
On behalf of the more than 3,000 faculty at the University of Houston, I lay this rose in honor memorial of 9/11.
We will now have words from Carl Hearn, representing Staff Council.
On behalf of the 3,800 staff at the University of Houston, as President-elect of the University of Houston Staff Council, I lay this rose in remembrance of 9/11 and in reflection of those who have lost their lives.
And we will now have closing words by Dr. Dean Donnell Young.
I would like to first thank everyone for coming out today as we remember 9/11. I would also like to thank SGA and also former Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Lee, for being a part of bringing back this piece of history to our campus, so I want to acknowledge them as well. Very similar to Dr. Maxwell's remarks, as I was preparing a few words to say today, I was thinking about where I was at 9/11 and the thoughts that was running through my mind as I watched planes hit the Twin Towers. And I was struck with many thoughts. I was struck with fear. I was struck with concern. I was struck with just kind of the loss of life. So I want to acknowledge and think about everyone, first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, all the individuals that bravely and courageously went in and supported our country. That's a piece that, again, it resonates with me as I think almost 20 plus years from now that we still have family members. As a country, we are still suffering due to the fact that there will be thoughts of this was the favorite sporting team, this was a birthday, so those can't be remiss. So I think it's important that we always remember this day because, again, it's etched in our history and it will impact our country forever. The other thing I thought about too as I remembered about the tragedy is also the beauty that happened days later. As a country we came together. As a country we addressed that hate has no place in our country. We looked at the unity of our country. We didn't look at the divisiveness of individuals. So that was important for me to remember that together as a collective, we're always better. So it was important to remember that positive moment as a country when we come together, we can make a beautiful place. So again, thank you all for coming here together. And again, unity is always the best place for us as a country. So congratulations. I also want to make sure that we attend the photo exhibit here as well. So thank you all for coming out.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the retiring of the colors.
Color guard, punching, whoop, right shoulder, hold, forward, hold, up, left, 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 hook turn, hook, color guard, hold, right, quick, bend, oh. Order, on. Ready, hoop. Retreat. Go. Ready, set. Left, hey. Forward, forward, left, left, left. Left, 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 left.
Thank you all for your attendance.
55 this year. Your family, friends, and everyone you love will cherish the memories. We hold you in our hearts every day. We love and we miss you.
And my loving sister, my mother, Siobhan Lycia Mendes.